Well, hello again. Welcome to Ordinary Guys Bourbon. Today our very special guest is a very special guest to me. This is Andrew Stevens. This is my son. How you doing, Andy?
I'm doing great. Yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for asking.
Nice.
For our giant audience, why don't you tell the people who you are?
Well, I'm Andrew Stevens. Since high school I've been working in automotive, and I've jumped around a little bit, but currently I'm working over at Ford. I'm a two-time journeyman for rigging, and then also a journeyman for millwright.
And you're also a little bit of a car nut.
I am a little bit of a car
So,
nut, yeah.
so you've got right now, and I know because of the insurance bill, you've got 3 vehicles.
3 cars, yes.
3 cars, and what are those?
One of the cars is a 95 Subaru Impreza with just roll over 40,000 miles, so it's a pretty pristine unit. Then I have my truck, and that truck, that's my baby right there. It's a 2011 Duramax GMC, and that thing's quite a unit, has quite a bit done to it. And then there's the Century, which is probably the most interesting of the bunch. It's a Toyota 1997, and it has a pretty big motor in it.
And that's right-hand drive?
It is right-hand drive, yes.
How big is the motor in that Toyota?
It's a 5-liter, but it's 12 cylinders. It's a V12 under the hood.
You need all 12 of those.
Minimum.
Yeah, I guess so. So today's bourbon that we're sampling, I picked this one out for you specifically because this is Breckenridge. Breckenridge is from Colorado.
Oh, I know.
And I know you're a big fan of spending time in Colorado. You just got back from there a couple months ago, right?
Yes, back in November I was over in Colorado, actually at Breckenridge.
Breckenridge is what, just the distillery? You just hung out at the distillery the whole time?
Not quite. That's the name of the city. It's a ski town.
Okay. I'm told the visitor center is phenomenal. It's rated very highly, so maybe next time you go out there, you'll have to swing by the Breckenridge distillery and see what they have there.
I've checked a couple distilleries out, but more of just like microbreweries. I haven't checked out any of the bourbon side of things. Only just beer.
Well, similar to what's your favorite beer? Coors.
I'd say Coors is probably one of my favorites. Yes.
And Coors is made with that Rocky Mountain water.
Of course.
Right. Breckenridge as well is distilled with snowmelt waters from the Rockies. Right. It's also the highest altitude distillery in the world. My research tells me.
That's fascinating.
It's 9,600 feet above sea level. But Breckenridge as a spirit, this company was founded in 2008. So recent, not just relatively. In the bourbon world, this is like brand new, right? It's a baby.
Yeah.
You have to burp this thing, right? A gentleman named Dr. Brian Nolt was a doctor and apparently a bourbon enthusiast. Some people call me a bourbon enthusiast or an alcoholic. It's one of those two.
Depending on how you look at
But
it.
Dr. Brian Nolt, he founded the company. I think it is been merged or purchased up by Tilray Brands. But nonetheless, the company was founded in 2008. The first products that they had were a bourbon and a vodka. The bourbon was released 3 years after they started the company. I think this is aged for 3 years. It's won a whole bunch of awards. So even though it's a newer company, it's a blended bourbon whiskey. Clearly, they're doing something right, at least in their ability to rack in awards.
Especially for a 3-year-old, only brewed for 3 years. That's not too high up for most bourbons.
That's right. So the way we do this on the show is very simple, right? We talk about the liquid for a little bit, and then we've got one sample that's neat, our controlled sample, if you will, and then we go to however you have it normally, which is like me, I guess, a little bit of bourbon, a little bit of ice, and a little bit of water on top.
Yeah, just kind of dilute it a little bit so you get a little more flavor out of it.
Well, here's to you. Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay. Now, when we get into the scoring, there's four categories as indicated on the official tasting ballot that you have in front of you. Heritage, you can rate that up to 20. The taste and drinkability, you can rate that up to 40. Affordability, I don't know if I mentioned this, but this bottle is retailing for about $45. But the affordability is 0 to 30 as well on that.
Okay.
And the design of the bottle, the packaging is up to 10.
Okay.
All right, so have another sample here. Yeah, I think You ready to score this?
I think so.
Okay, let's go. Oh yeah. Should I help you on your math here?
I've done math in a while, but I can do it. Don't worry. It's gonna take me a little second longer than usual. 8 plus 42, 42, 62, 62, 69.
Okay.
I did not mean it to be 69, but that's kind of funny.
Yeah. Let's get into the scoring. We're already back on the camera.
Okay.
This first category is heritage, right? So we talked about how this was started in 2008, a relatively new spirit. What did you give it? This is out of 20.
I give it an 8 out of 20, just for it being a newer company, and also for the area that there is quite a bit of microbreweries in the area, so it's nothing crazy special.
Okay.
So 8 out of 20, I feel like is a fair score.
But this is a great segue into the next category, which is taste and drinkability. Did you find that the Rocky Mountain water, the snow caps that it was distilled from, did you taste that? Did that shine through?
I'm not a huge water guy. I don't know the difference between spring water and purified. But I would say for taste and drinkability that it was definitely a little bit smoother than like a Woodford Reserve, but not quite like an Elijah Craig. I gave it a 34 out of 40.
You thought it was smoother than Woodford Reserve?
I thought it was slightly smoother, yeah.
Really? Okay. So I don't know if I mentioned on heritage.
Slightly.
I give it a 10 on heritage to your 8, so we're close. Taste and drinkability, you give it a 34, so you like this. I give it a 32. I like it.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Affordability. So I mentioned $45 bottle. This is a score up to 30. What did you give it here?
I gave it a 20, just because with it being a newer, for heritage and everything, and with the I think that kind of plays a little bit of a factor in.
I think maybe
If it's a newer distillery, they can't charge a crazy amount. So I gave it a 20 out of 30, a 66%. Not quite. I think that was a good.
Did you just drop a percentage in there too, Mr. Mathman?
Oh, I did.
Oh, I caught that. I give it a 16, and I'm wondering maybe you gave it a higher score just because I think you've got more disposable income than I do.
Oh, it's probably the case.
Okay, jackass.
I got a dog in me. That's all I'm taking care of.
Yeah, and I think it's time for us to talk about your rent.
Oh, probably.
We'll do that on a different program. Design.
Design, it's nothing special, but at the same time, it's also like it's neat. So I'll give it a good 7 out of 10.
On the back, there's this little picture of the
Yeah, there's a glimpse of Breckenridge.
Yeah.
That's the ski resort right there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's where you stayed when you were there in
Yeah.
November?
In November, I was at an Airbnb, but it was a ride-off, so you can take the trails right down to the Airbnb.
Really?
And then it was downhill to the gondola, so it was all downhill, no uphill.
That's good. Downhill's better than uphill.
Exactly.
I give it a 6. Nothing fantastic, but it's a classic plain bottle design. I kind of like that.
Yeah, it's classic and it's neat.
And some bottles, it seems like they're less.
Nothing special.
They're less stable. Like Eagle Rare is one of my favorite bourbons, but it's like that bottle. If there's a breeze, it's gonna knock the bottle over because it's just so narrow.
Yeah.
This
is gonna stay more sturdy.
Yeah, it's a normal bottle shape.
Yeah, it's a good bottle.
So my overall score is 64. What did you get?
I got 69 total.
69. So we're close.
Unintentionally.
And is this the kind of spirit that you drink every day?
For the price of $45, it's a little bit hefty on the price tag for what it is.
Okay.
I think.
That's fair.
So every day, probably not. On like a occasion or something, nothing too fancy, but more fancy than your average day. I would say it would be a good drink.
That's good. I agree. Well, Andy, thanks for being on the program, and behave.
I'll try.
We'll see you next time. Ordinary Guys Bourbon.
Have a good one.